My next guest, I don't think needs much introduction. Please welcome to the stage Terry Roberts from Whitehawk.
So Pinder's a hard act to follow, but I'm going to see what I can do. So first of all, I want to make sure everybody knows that I am not speaking here as the definitive expert on B2B e-commerce for technologies. But what I can tell you, for the past 3 years, since I started Whitehawk, which is a B2B e-commerce cybersecurity platform, that I have discovered a lot of important items regarding selling complex technologies on e-commerce platforms globally, and the importance of everyone who sells technologies, whether it's SaaS services, hardware, software, even technology professional services, can be scaled on B2B e-commerce platforms. And I think that's the most critical point, is accessibility and scalability. So I'm just curious, in the audience, how many folks have been affiliated with B2B e-commerce in the past? Okay, a couple of folks. Okay, few ringers. Make sure you bring things up. So the critical thing to understand is the magnitude overall of our information technology industry globally, right? The next thing is, what are the trends of the global tech markets, right? They are continuing to rise in most of the key categories. The only thing we've seen is there's been a shift as we've gone to cloud-based provisioning. It's taken a little bit away from the tech sales to on-prem, right? Especially in the B2B market. The other thing we can see is what are some of the qualities of B2B e-commerce? And I think one of the most critical points is the productivity, the ability to sell more efficiently and more effectively via that online platform than in traditional sales mechanisms. I think what's kept us from moving more in this direction is the complex technology sales. And so I'll go into that a little bit later. Different kinds of websites. You can do it via your own website, but then you kind of have to have a brand to be able to get away with that. Or you can work together, right, with others in your area, or you can come to platforms like Whitehawk, which is already a B2B exchange. How does it compare to B2C? This is really interesting, okay? For the past 4 years, B2B is growing at a much faster rate and has eclipsed B2C, and now is over 50% larger than the B2C market globally. So where are the large actors in this space? It makes sense. If you combine China, Japan, and South Korea, you have over $780 billion market. And then the rest of the world is about over $620 billion. How does it work? What's nice about a B2B platform, e-commerce platform, is that it combines all of these elements so that you are actually bringing together your suppliers, right? Your financial transactions, the onboarding process, the supply chain for your products and services. It's all coming together in one place. Of course, what that does bring also are additional risks. So you have to make sure, right, that your online platform is very capable. Okay? What are some of the most important things on the B2B market side? First of all is that business customers like to research first. So they're going to go online anyway, right? They're looking for information, they're looking for options, they're looking for the best deal. So even if you're not selling online, you better be able to market effectively online. And then that sort of leads you to, well, then why don't I sell some things? Why don't I do that combination? The other thing we've seen is that businesses prefer to buy online, okay? They would rather go online shopping than talk to a salesperson. And why is that? Because they don't want the sales pitch, okay? They want information, but they don't want the pitch. And then lastly is that now we just tipped over 50% of all sales, B2B sales now, are now via e-commerce platforms, okay? So that's the direction. If you're not going that direction, you're gonna start losing customers. Okay. Obviously, then this builds up an ecosystem. So there are all kinds of companies out there who can help you with your B2B e-commerce capabilities. So what they'll do is they'll help you with your website build, your site strategy, your search engine optimization so that customers can easily find you, how to optimize the customer experience, and how to conduct secure financial transactions online at scale. Others will focus on the marketing channels, how to help you to focus on what kinds of marketing channels you can go for and help to drive those customers to your site. With our particular platform, we've had to add a lot of enablement because buying cybersecurity is complicated. So we've had to add AI tool technologies and questionnaires to be able to walk customers through their risk process. We have to ensure that we have cyber analysts that are there to answer questions, and we automatically, out of our AI tool, tee up cybersecurity bundles. We do find that with complex technologies, it's better if you sell things as a stack, as a package, so that you don't have to go through all the nuances. You're selling an overall capability. And so in our particular model, we have a basic, balanced, and advanced approach. And that actually helps us to sell the higher end bundles as well, because you're showing a progression. And I've seen this done with cloud-based services and technologies as well, and it works very effectively. So who are the top 25 B2B tech companies in 18? Some of them I think you'll recognize, some of them you won't, ironically, but it doesn't mean that they're not multi-billion-dollar businesses. And part of that is because sometimes they target niche business sector channels, and so they can kind of go under the radar if you haven't interacted with them before. And so then what are some of the trends? What we're seeing is added focus on customer experience. So if you think about this, you really need to handhold that business customer through the process, and especially if the technology that you're selling is complicated, you have to give them that additional enablement. The other thing we highly recommend is have a customer feedback loop, right? So you want to be managing your B2B e-commerce ecosystem, that platform, that experience in a 360 way, and you can only do that if you're getting that continuous customer feedback so that you can then be continuously building that into your platform. What the other beauty about this, right, is there's no block to you going global. So you can start wherever you want to start, and then you can do your market research, and then you can target that other region. And if you need to have, right, a base in place of consultants or whomever, work in that time zone, you can put that in place. But otherwise, your platform's ready to go. Distribution, obviously, for SaaS services, not necessarily a problem. So the ability to go global and to scale is one of the greatest advantages that we're seeing here. And then finally, I wanted to bring up a few of my lessons learned. it's really all about the customer experience. So making sure that you're doing user testing, and then leveraging that testing to make sure that you've instrumented your platform appropriately. A big part of this market are small and mid-sized businesses, but don't let that put you off, because that's 90% of the world's businesses. So because you can scale, this is an important part of B2B, is you're trying to get volume, right? So you gotta go after those small and mid-sized businesses. And that revenue can be anywhere from 2 million to $1 billion. So that's where the SMB range is. So they're definitely worth going for. So it could be a channel that's hard for you to target today, but easier to target using an e-commerce platform. And leverage automation. Anytime you can automate a process for your customer, shortens that time, between shopping and buying, is where you want to focus the AI and automation and machine learning side. And then channels. You need to work marketing channels, and sometimes that's business size, sometimes that's business sector, right? You may have a complex technology that's perfect for retail or perfect for the financial sector. So then this online platform can help you to work the targeting of those channels to drive them to your site. And then again, the last thing is customer feedback, rolling in the customer feedback side. So I want to make sure before we sign off, are there questions, experiences? I'm always trying to learn from other people. Yes, Pindar. So in the beginning, we have a vetting process. For instance, what we do is we have a solution architect who actually reviews each of the vendors and their products and services, and we have a consistent portal and questionnaire. Later on, that customer feedback. Yeah. So initially, right, you're about getting lots of options, okay? Later on, it's the customer feedback. But actually, the biggest problem we found initially to bringing vendors on board was getting them to say, I'll try this in addition to traditional sales. They're so tied to traditional sales that it was hard to get them to think differently, Another question.
Any questions? We've got 5 minutes.
Okay. Well, wonderful to be, yes, go ahead.
So this is more, presuming this is mainly a software-based view, where do you touch hardware, and how would you validate the hardware that can work in concert? For example, with
so we do sell hardware.
Oh, you do sell hardware.
Absolutely,
right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong, I love SaaS services because it's easier for the customer, right? And a lot of SaaS services are very impactful. But hardware, what we do is we work with the distributors. So in our case, we work with Ingram and Lifeboat, who help us get it there. Then I have my cyber analysts, right, who work with the customer to make sure if there's someone that needs to be on site to install, then you have to have local service arms who can go and do the installation. Okay. Sometimes a hardware provider will do the installation themselves, but yes, that's a part of what my solution architect does in onboarding a particular product or service. So we'll deal with vendors who you can only sell a portion of their products or services because of the business model. And that's part of the conversation. Get them started. Show them that they have a channel. Show them the benefit. And then they'll work to be able to sell via e-commerce. Okay, great. Thank you so much.